All right. As I said, I'm going to attempt to read, but I might be calling on some of y'all to help me read. But we're going to, I'm putting back to the latter part of chapter 2 of Hosea. We'll be looking at verses 19 through 23 at the latter part of chapter 2. And then we'll move into chapter 3. My objective, though, I'm looking at my watch going, I talk too much, and I might not make it, but we're going to try to. But we're going to look at that. I really wanted to come back to chapter 2 because I really wanted us to take a real deep look at particularly verses 19 through 20, 19 and 20. But 21, 22, and 23 are kind of a concoction of God's direction to the children of Israel and what he's going to do for a vision for them to the future of their future that then leads in to chapter 3. And if we kind of go back and look at some of the outline guidance there, if we look at the latter part of chapter 2, Hosea talks about Gomer's restoration along with Israel's, and we'll see that. And then as we move it in chapter 3, we look at both Gomer and Israel's redemption and what God says about that. And so those are kind of where we're going to go tonight and everything. So as we look back in 19 and 20, let's look at them and then let's talk about them there. It says, and I will betroth you to me forever. I will betroth you to me in righteousness and in justice, in steadfast love and in mercy. I will betroth you to me in faithfulness, and you shall know the Lord. And in that day I will answer, declares the Lord. I will answer the heavens, and the heavens, will answer the earth, and the earth will answer the grain, the wine, and the oil. And they all shall answer Jezreel. And I will sow her for myself in the land, and I will have mercy on no mercy. And I will say to not my people, you are my people. And he, being Israel, shall say, you are my God. And he being there. So as we look at 19, we talked about it several times over the course of the thing. When in the Hebrew writings, when something is repeated, what is that about? Why in Hebrew language did they repeat things? Huh? It's important. In fact, it gets more important as they repeat it. So how many times is I will betroth repeated in 2 verses? 3 times. So we talked about it. When you see it 3 times, it's kind of like the good, better, best type deal. So what is the importance of that? When we say betroth, what do we think in our current language? What would that be in our current world? Not quite, but close enough there. What would we call it? Engagement, right? So what is the idea in the Jewish faith when it comes to betrothal? Where does it fit in their whole process? How long could it be? It could be up to a year or more, maybe even more. The betrothal came after what has been done? Normal husband, wife, or man, woman process. Well, not courting, but it's really more about the 2 families. What have the 2 families done prior to the betrothal time? They've talked about what? How much is it going to cost me to marry her? Yeah, there. Dowry or bride thing. They've talked about when it's going to happen, what families are involved, all the details all have happened, and then they go into betrothal. In fact, when Joseph and Mary were what? When all this transpired? When Jesus came, they were betrothed. They were in that last thing. So betrothal for the Jewish family is what?
Preparation.
Well, no, but yes. I mean, it's definitely a preparation. But at the end of the day, if 2 people were betrothed in the Jewish faith, they were just as married as most people are married today. And probably more. Even though they hadn't had the marriage ceremony, even though they hadn't consummated the marriage, they were just as married at the point of that betrothal period start as they were as any we would call today. Probably more.
Was the Jews, is that where the dowry came from?
Well, the bride price. Well, it's called bride price, but yeah, that would be.
Why
Because the women were what? During this period of time, women help him out.
We were property.
They were property.
Oh.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There,
We were
there.
bills to take care of.
Yes.
To make the property worth more, you just give them more money.
Well,
And the dowry.
and some of the dowry was what? If everybody remembers, some of the dowries of this period of time would have been what? It would have been money. It would have been livestock. It would have been goats. It would have been chickens. It would have been pigs. It would have been whatever.
I don't think it was pigs.
Well, that's true.
Y'all come with your own pig.
Could have been. Could have been unclean. It could have been unclean Jewish folks, I guess. But yeah, you're got point taken. Yeah, I got a little carried away with what it could have been. But yes, I mean, to Amber's 100%. At this period in time, the woman was belonged to her father until this point in time. The reason the husband bought him because he's paying the father for all the time he spent with his daughter and paid for getting her to where she was at to be able to marry. Because remember, during this time, that marriage wasn't necessarily 18 or 19. Marriage might have been 12 or 13.
And remember, just because it's in the Bible, don't mean it's the way God wanted it.
No, exactly.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of people take like the things we see in the Bible that is there because
Yeah.
it's historical.
Yeah, it's just,
It's telling us that's the way it was.
that's exactly right. And Jesus was clear of that.
It's not the way we're to do
Right.
it.
And when God created Eve, he didn't create her subservient there. He created out of the side of Adam. As before the fall, they were joint doing what? They were doing what God had directed them to do in the garden, take care. So it wasn't a subservient thing. There was an order, a pecking order, but it wasn't about being subservient to somebody. It was about just God had an order and that's the direction, but it wasn't about that. Until the fall, then things began to run downhill from there. But Amber's correct. It's the same with any other of the things that God's law put out there. His intent was it was not to be, but understanding that those things happened and thus man corrupted what God intended to be good. Man got involved and started corrupting. So we see that the I will betroth that. So who is the I here? In the storyline, it's Hosea, but I want us to concentrate on that the I here is God, and I want us to look at what God does because that's where we get lost sometimes. I think, and I know I'm guilty. There's a lot of terms to it, but at the end of the day, the ideal here is what? So as we look at God, I will betroth to me forever. I will betroth you to me. What is God saying to the children of Israel?
Like united to me.
Yes, forever. What does God say to us as children? From the point of salvation, forever and ever we belong to Him. We are betrothed to Him. So that's the ideal here, is that God's saying to the children of Israel, I don't need you. I'm telling you that from this point on, forever and ever, we're betrothed together. It's not about you, Israel. It's about me, the God. He goes on to say what? I will betroth you to me in... Anybody got righteousness? Anybody got a different word? In justice. Yeah, righteousness and injustice. Yeah, but did anybody got a different translation of a translation that has a different word than righteousness? How about justice?
King James says righteousness and judgment.
Judgment. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yep. Yep. So, anybody else? So righteousness and justice.
It says justice. Ours says judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember we had
Yeah. But yes, and we talked about that.
Says righteousness, justice, love, and compassion.
Right. What I'm trying to get at is God is sharing with the children there what He's doing for them, because it's not about them. He says, I will betroth you to me in. So who's going to give the righteousness to the children of Israel? God. Who gives the righteousness to us? God. We don't got it, and we ain't going to get it. It's all about God. He's the one that puts righteousness in us.
Christ's righteousness is imputed.
Yes, imputed to us. Who's providing the judgment justice to the children of Israel? God. Who takes care of our judgment justice? Jesus. Jesus, but yes, God. God provided the way out. God provided the solution for that judgment, that justice. Who provides love? God does. Mine says steadfast love. Anybody else got a different thought process? Steadfast? Everybody pretty much? Love and kindness. That's the other. The underlying Hebrew thing, loving kindness, steadfast love, that's the picture there. What does that say about God?
It is God. No other God offers that.
I got it. But in light of what we know about Gomer and Hosea, and what we know that we're about to discover about the children of Israel over the course of the next few chapters, what is that is significant?
Unfailing love.
It's unfailing love.
Never fail.
It's love that God gives us from the get-go, and what we do or say or doesn't change that. It doesn't change that. How sad has it been with the children of Israel? What were they guilty of in this section? I mean, obviously we can go back to Jeremiah and find another setup. We can find several of the up and down hill there. But what have they been guilty of here? Serving other gods. Harlotry. Prostituting themselves to other gods. In front of God. In front of God. They've been guilty of it. But yet, God's saying to them, I will betroth myself in steadfast love to you. Who? And then, after love is compassion, mercy. And the last one is, I will betroth you to me in faithfulness. And the ideal there is trustworthiness. God saying, you trust me. I'm betrothing you in faithfulness and trusting it, in trustworthiness. Because that is me. All of these are God. And what's he doing to the children? He's bestowing it upon them because of his love for them. And we talked about it there. As God calls us to salvation, where does all that come from? It comes out of God. The faith we have comes from God.
My study Bible says, in that day Israel will no longer be thought of as a prostitute. Israel brings nothing to the marriage. God makes all the promises and provides all the dowry.
Yeah. And this is what...
Not asking either. He's
No.
telling
No, I...
the way it's going to
Exactly.
This is how it's
That,
going to be.
exactly. That's it. He's saying to them, you're my betrothed, and this is it. This is how it's happening. This is what's happening. And it is. All those words are pictures of God's bride price for his church, for the Jewish people. It's his buying them out. And it really becomes a great picture in chapter 3. I had never thought of it that way, but as we look at 3, it's going to be real interesting there. And if we get to 3 tonight, I don't know, but we'll try. But the idea here, though, is that, and what I want us to walk away with is that so many times it's we say we try to put ourselves into the picture with God. We try to say, well, I, and at the end of the day, the same picture that's being painted here is the picture that's painted with us in salvation. That is, God has provided everything. He has bought us. He paid the price through his son, Jesus Christ. He gives us the love that we need in order to do it. He gives us the faith that it takes to do it. He even gives us the ability to understand at that moment in time when he changes our heart that we then understand the need for him. Because prior to that change in our heart to understand the need for him and that salvation that he's offering and that gift he's offering, we don't understand, because again, the scriptures are clear that prior to that, we are a fallen world, and our hearts and minds do not seek after God. In fact, we are just like the children of Israel. Our hearts and minds prior to Christ entering us through the power of justification, until that happens, we are just like the children. We are selling our soul to the world and all the gods out there. We are selling our bodies to that. We're selling our minds to that. We're selling our hearts to that. We're selling all those things to the world, to the idolatry gods, the pagan gods. We're selling that to there until God makes the change. Yeah. Well, it ain't even about sin prior to Christ. It's just about, that's our nature. We're selling our soul. We're just like them. Everything is okay in that. Yeah, I mean, we call it sin, but it ain't even that. Our heart ain't even got close. It ain't even sin. It's just plain out rebellion. Truth's there. And yes, it can be defined as sin, but I'm just saying we don't even get there yet because we don't even understand that. Prior to God beginning to change our heart, bringing us around to that calling to receive Jesus, until that we don't even understand the Ten Commandments from a biblical perspective. We don't understand God's direction prior to that. It's only at that point that he breaks our heart and changes and brings it about for us to understand, so that we can be receptive to the call, so we can be receptive to the gospel. We don't even understand it. We think it's just life. Is there some in the moral law? Is that not some inherent stuff? Yeah, we know that. We know that, and as we look through the things, as we look through the Old Testament, we understand clearly that though the law was not written, when we study Romans, people still understood those things. They were inherent from God to have that understanding. Most people that are lost as the gooses still would say, I shouldn't kill nobody. They'd say, shouldn't steal from nobody. They would, I shouldn't do this. The first ones about God, they're probably going to break. That's a different story. But all the ones where we deal with our neighbors and our things, the stealing, the covenant, they all inherently understand that ain't great. That's not a good thing. Because of God just placed that on our heart, that moral, that compass that he places in our hearts as he created. But anyway, so we go through that. And because 3 is so good, and I gave myself a little leeway, I'm going to finish up with 21, 3, because I think this is interesting as well. And in that day, I will answer, declares the Lord. I will answer the heavens, and they shall answer the earth. And the earth shall answer the grain, the wine, and the oil, and they shall answer Jezreel. And I will sow her for myself in the land. Does anybody got a different word than sow in verse 23?
Take her.
I will take her. Okay. Anybody else? When you think about, the reason I'm asking that, because when I think about sow, what I think about plant. Planting.
What verse is it?
23.
NIV says
Huh?
NIV says.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that in my head, that's what I think, sowing. So yeah. So I will sow her for myself in the land, and I will have mercy on. No mercy. And I will say to not my people, you are my people, and I shall say, you are my God. And he shall say, you are my God. So let's look at that. So as Jose writes this down in verses 21, 23, and he begins with the idea that who is declaring that they will answer the heavens? Who's there? I want us to look at it from a kind of a process. So who's declaring? Who's going to take care of the heavens? Who will answer the heavens?
A man will again.
No. Who's it say? It's right there. It says right there. Who is I? God. Yeah. So God declares the Lord, Adonai. And he's going to declare, he's going to answer the heavens.
How does he do that?
Well, again, the idea here is that in chapters 1 and 2, we see Hosea talk about these things that they're missing, that they're going to be wiped away, they're gone. And that in fact, Hosea goes on to say with Gomer, he was responsible for her having wine and grain and money and all those things. So God's saying to them that I will start this process of redemption. I will begin this process of restoring the children of Israel. And I'm going to start in the heavens. And out of the heavens, who's going to declare or answer? Who's going to be answered out of the heavens?
The Jewish people being.
No. Read Scripture, brother. Just keep up with, stay on compass on the Scripture.
You on 22?
I'm on 21.
21.
So God's going to answer the heavens. Who's going to answer the earth?
The heavens.
The heavens. The heavens is going to answer the earth.
To the earth,
And then the earth is going to answer to who?
the grain,
And they all shall answer.
to Jezreel.
And what did we say about Jezreel? Yeah.
He was born.
It's the valley of because I always say it wrong. The idea here is Jehoiakim. I need a whiteboard so I can spell it. Then this word right here. So anyway, the idea though is what God is declaring to us that I'm going to set in motion your redemption. And it's going to start in the heavens, and it's going to walk from the heavens down to the earth. And it's going to end in the valley of Jezreel. And we talked about Jezreel. It has a two-folder. It is the place for all the destruction that happened. The guy that got killed, that he destroyed the family because they did wrong, and they went through that. Joshua went through that with them, and they ended up with the family, and they disappeared. But when we talked about it last week, what did we say about Jezreel from a futuristic look?
Armageddon.
Jezreel fits into the Armageddon thought process, the future, where what happens in that nature. When we're thinking there. The idea would be is that at Jezreel, God will finalize everything. Everything. There. That all the world will answer to it. It's there. And then he will sow who? Plant who? Who is the her? In the nature of the thing, Hosea and Gomer, but who is her? Israel. And so what's he saying about them?
So they'll be his.
I'm going to plant them. Just like we talked about the other day, God does everything. God's telling them, this is what's happening to you, and I'm going to plant you in place. And when I do that, you're no longer going to be called no mercy. Because what did he proclaimed through Hosea before this? That they were a people of no mercy. He had finished with them. Now he's telling them, I have a plan. This is what's going to transact. And no longer will I say no mercy. I'm going to give you mercy. I'm going to call you that. He's not only going to say that. At that time, in that place for the children of Israel, and to that nation, he's going to say, no longer you're not my people. You are my people. And God's love for them, God's grace for them, and God's love and grace for us has... When can we truly say God is our God as a Christian? At what point in our life, in our world, do we surrender the understanding we now can say to them that God now is our God? Justification and salvation. For the children of Israel, that is what he's saying. At this point in time in the future, when these things transpire, you will no longer not call me you will no longer have to worry about me, because I'm going to call you my people. I'm going to have mercy on you. And because of all this, because of all the love and all the grace and the mercy and all these things, you will be able to truly call me God.
But that includes us because we're the Gentiles now, part of it. Is that right?
If you're saved, that's there. But at this point in the game, it's about the Jewish people. But yes, you're correct there, and that's my point. Is that the picture, the beauty of this picture, and why I want to kind of go back, and even though I meant to do a little differently, but at the end of the day, the picture is us. The picture is that God does it all, that God directs it into our life, that God gives us the heart and the love and the faith and the understanding to be able to do this because He gives it to us. And because of that giving, we now can share back to Him that says, Father, you are my God. You are my God. And that's what we're close by. We'll do chapter 3 next week. 3 is interesting. Read 3. 3 is interesting. It is. Pay attention to the 15 shekels, silver, and the 15, some translations say bushels, some say homer, and I forget the other word. There's a 2-parter there. Pay attention to that. See what you can find out about that, because it changed. It just was interesting to me. There. Yeah. You're on track. It does have something to do with purchasing. All right. Thank y'all very much. Thank you for the food. Thank you for sharing up tonight. Thank y'all for you being there and being attentive.